Good morning. Today is Tuesday, November 13th, and we're going to be going from about 8 o'clock to about quarter to 10 o'clock, somewhere around there. Trading the foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding to invest in foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objective, level of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware that of all the risks associated with the foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. This is a live trading room. It is for educational purposes only. No financial advice or recommendations will be provided. Any trades taken during this live session is not a recommendation or a suggestion that you should do the same. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Do not trade money you cannot afford to lose. Before trading live, always operate with a written trade plan that identifies rules for entries, exits, targets, and risk management. So, having said that, let me switch my screens here, and we'll take a look at the U.S. yen. We had an alert of the U.S. yen at 7 o'clock this morning. And let's see who else do we have here today. I see a lot of familiar faces. If anybody has any questions, just raise your hand. Looks like I'm not seeing any of my cohorts here today, so I may be doing this solo today, but we'll see where this thing takes us. Anyway, we had a U.S. yen alert, ascending wedge at 7 o'clock was the last one that I have. Let's see if I get another, let's see, update this and see if there's another one. That's the last one I'm showing. And we went to the 50-minute chart. It was ascending. And just let me clean this up here just a little bit here, just so we can maybe be a little bit less cluttered. And I was looking at seeing where what kind of a channel this thing was running in, and it was an ascending wedge. And so I'm looking at this low all the way down to from here. We had a little bit of a hit. This was sort of more of a low of a breach of it, of this trend line. It's got a little bit sharper right here. So right now I'm looking at this is the anchor, this is a hit, and the third hit is yet to be determined in this channel. On the upside, we have pretty much another channel where it seems to be following these higher highs, higher lows. We had the alert, and so it was ascending. So I'm going to start my A down low, bring it up to the last pivot high. Actually, I probably can take it over to this high and then bring this one over outside the wedge. This way, it's sort of following the trend line. I'm going to flatten this out. I'm looking at this as a little bit of a trap right in here. If it breaks to the top of the flatness of the wedge, it's coming right up into, it's pretty much still staying inside this channel. And we have a strong wick over here, pivot high over here, and that's just going to sort of form. So there's a little bit of, there's some sellers right in this area. So I want to stay away from trying to take a long. If it breaks out the top of this, I'm looking at, this is the next place where it would be taking breaking through, has a little bit of a problem here, and it could probably go up maybe up to this next one. This would be the origin of this down move, came back up, retested this area, came back down stronger, high, low, lower high, lower low. This is where the trend was all the way down to here, and now it's starting to gradually trend its way back up again. And you can see it's a much shallower angle. This angle here is much shallower than this angle down here. So I'm looking at this being more of a retracement of this move to continue the downtrend. It did get a little bit of a break of the 62, but right now I'm not looking at this thing being a real strong move to the upside. There's not a lot of strength between the US and the yen, and the RSIs are still kind of meandering somewhere in the middle here. So I'm going to stay away from this trade. If it breaks out, we'll watch it, we'll note it, I'll chart it, and we'll just take it from there. Any questions on that? If anybody has any questions, go ahead and raise your hands. And if not, we'll press on. Let's see, nothing there. Okay, so, and then there was a Euro US alert at 5:45. Actually, I'm going to do is I'm going to set it in the, well, let's just keep an eye on this one. This one looks like it's trying to break out of the top. We do have a red fib line right in here. If it does break that, it could possibly go on up to this area, which is this little drop, base area drop. This was a retest. So it does have some, and see if it's we're getting some strength to the upside on the 15-minute. This one maybe is through the trap area, so maybe this thing will, if this thing closes on the 5-minute, let's see where it is on the 5-minute chart. If it can close on the 5-minute chart above this, then it may be worth taking this trade. We're having some strength to the dollar's getting stronger. And let's wait for the 5-minute close on this, and we'll see where it takes us here. If it breaks the 5-minute, it could come back, retest the purple wedge line, and then that might give us enough room for a trade. That's 8 pips up to the yellow target. This will be our first target up here. Let's see how this 5-minute candle closes. We had a strong, this is a relatively strong move coming out of here. It looks like the trap is no longer valid, so we're going to take that out. And we're just going to look at the major trend line, and we're also looking at the flatness of the wedge. Now we could have taken this B over here. We could have brought the D over, and it still would have given us pretty much the same slope, same area. So basically, you're getting the double break of this wedge of here, and also of the higher trend line. So this could be this actually could end up being a good little trade here. Actually, we're having lots of strength down here on the U.S. first currency of the pair, and I think I'd be okay taking this thing along. Get my chart set up, go buy, limit, and we say it's 105.53. 105, there's the asking. Take a 1%, 7 pip stop, 7 pip target, 11 pip stop. I'm trying to get a target of 105.53. I gotta get below the the asking price, or but it's gotta be. Actually, we take a stop, buy stop at 105.54. To stay above the ask price, 105.55. Put it right there. If it comes up, it takes it, and it will be in the trade. If not, if I don't get filled, it's going to come back down, and it will keep on going. That's one of the two things that are going to happen here. And my target's right up here at the 7 pip target. I've got my stop down here below on the other side of the wedge. Give myself plenty of room. I like buy stops. If you have a nice little drive up and a little peak, if you keep that way, if it just becomes a rally, base rally, then it'll catch you on the way up without having to. And if it doesn't, then basically what is happening is you reach you're just above the peak, and if it pulls back, you're not in the trade. The other option would be wait for it to come back to the wedge, retest it, and then break out. I can actually bring this down just a little bit more. Try to get a little bit better entry if it does break. Top of this red candle is at 54, so I can take it down to 54 if I want to try and really get in this thing. Now, if it turns around, comes back, it should get me in pretty close to where the breakout was. And if it's going to keep on retracing, I'll just keep on getting a little bit better, better entry. I'd like to see these RSI, the RSI come down a little bit deeper and then hook down by this 11 area. These are still staying up. These are still pointing up, which tells me this thing still is just a pullback. Trying to stay above the ask price. Let's keep working that down a little bit. Now, big thing is if it can close below the wedge line. If it can't close below the wedge, especially on the 5 minute, and we're now in the trade. I got us in the trade right there. My stop is still on the other side of the wedge. Came back down, retested it. Now I'm in the trade. Now we'll see what happens here. Target's still up here. And there she is. Good morning, Eva.
Morning, everybody. Sorry I'm late.
That's all right. That's all right. We're just happy to have you.
Good to be here.
And right now, if just so you know, we're working on a U.S. yen pair, and it's we just got a breakout of the wedge. Had the alert at 7 o'clock, and it broke out of a channel, which is a higher time frame channel, the purple line, and we have a wedge, which it was an ascending wedge, so it broke out of that with a 5 minute candle. It's coming back, retesting the wedge channel where they between the purple and the orange. I did get in this trade, and right now we have a little hook here. We have strength of the U.S. on both sides of all three time frames, and we're taking a shot at it. We're swinging the bat. Okay. See what happens. We got a pullback, still held to 62. On this pullback, it respect to 62 as it broke out of the bottom of the, as it stayed within the wedge. It bounced off to 62. We have our 5, 13, 62 on the 5 minute in the right order. We have the 5, 13, 62 on the 1 minute in the right order. And I believe we have it in the right order on the 5, 13, 62 on the 15. So all three time frames, the moving averages are in the right order. The RSIs are pointing in the right direction on all three. We had a nice little pullback, got a little bit of a hook, stayed pretty close, broke just a little bit outside the 40-60 range on the 1 minute, still stayed above the 60 on the 15 and the 5. And this is all has my spread of 3 on all three time frames. So it doesn't get much better than that for a chance to go long. And the target is up here, which is roughly 7 or 8 pips away. And I just kept, when it broke out, as it started pulling back, I just put my entry level back. I had a buy stop in, and I got in pretty much right inside this little wedge area.
It's looking good.
And I can actually, and if I could actually move my stop a little bit closer, let's see where my 7 pip stop is going to bring us. I like keeping on the other side of the wedge. Right now I'm at a 9 pip stop. I'm still going to stick with that for right now. I'll get out of it sooner if it looks like it's reversing on me. Then I'll get out of it a little bit sooner. But right now it's looking good. Nice strong move up. Had a nice pullback, and we actually have a rally. And this wedge is its own little base. We can actually draw a wedge right here from here to here. Bring it down to right there, and then flatten it out. Or let's see, we can bring this thing. Maybe take it. Actually, I'll take it down from the bottom here. This is a 1 minute chart. So
and this came in on 7 a.m. Okay.
It came in at 7 o'clock.
Well, Rajiv is saying we have a descending alert for the Euro US. I haven't even seen
that.
It
just came out 8:15. Just came out like now. So we are in this trade. I'm going to put a couple alerts on. We'll go take a look at the. I'm going to put an alert here at the 62. If it crosses that, we'll put an alert on that one. And we'll put an alert on this one if it breaks the top of the wedge. And then we'll go take a look at the Euro US.
Hey, good morning. Sorry I'm late.
Good Morning,
Yeah,
Matt.
how are you?
Yeah,
We're all late today.
seems to be a trend today.
Yeah, it
We're
was
fired.
miserable.
Everybody's
Miserable
fired.
outside.
We're firing everybody.
Terminated.
You wouldn't dare.
So we're in the
Ha.
okay. So we're in this trade. Actually, it's looking pretty. This one's looking pretty good. This one's looking good. Although
You're
everything's
already in there?
now we got in. Yep, I got in. It had a 5 minute close.
Nice.
It pulled back. As it pulled back, I had a buy stop, and as it pulled back, I kept moving my buy stop down a little bit. I was able to get entered into this purple orange area, and we're going to wait
Nice.
and see. And we'll see what happens. My stop is on the other side.
I'm going to walk away for just 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay, and I'm going to go to the look at the Euro US and see what that has to give us here.
Okay.
And we're going to, so Euro US, going to take this onto a, clean up my charts. And we're going to take the fibs off right now. Spread this out. Put on a 15-minute chart. Open this thing up. 8:15 was the alert. So 8:15, we have, there's the alert. It was a descending wedge. So that means we're looking at this part coming down. And you can see it is sort of descending here. If you're following the moving averages, it's sort of on a little bit of a slope here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to note the slope and bring it down to right about to there. We have an anchor. We have a near hit, near hit, near hit. I'll make that up. This has been validated. We have the wedge. So we're going to start up with the, here's a high, here's a low, here's a lower high, lower low, here's a lower high, higher low. So this is the one I'm going to be using right in here. Draw my triangle, start up here at the top, come down here to the low, come up to the lower high, go to the higher low. Here's my triangle. And we can maybe even take this thing, move this out a little bit to tweak that a little. Maybe help to align that. I'm going to align this with the trend line here as best I can. That looks pretty good right there. And right now we're inside the wedge. And let's see, our strength meter is saying that we have Euro is strong by 2. Euro is the first currency of the pair. Looks like this thing is saying it may want to go break to the upside. I don't like the upside. We have a 30-minute and a 15-minute 62 sitting right here. That I look at as being a trap. So from this area to here, it's got to break through and get above that north. So I'm going to look at this as being a trap. If it goes up in there, it's going to have to get a lot stronger to get through that. Because it's got to get through this candle here. Once it gets through this candle and this wick, then we're going up here for the target. But by the time you get here, that target is already going to be halfway. You'd be halfway to that target. Check where our higher time frame fib lines are. See if there's anything close by, and we've got a blue line right down here. So this, well, that's a supply zone. We should have a green zone. So right now we're in a somewhat in a demand zone. See how this thing broke up here. This could have some strength to the upside, actually. Euro's strong by 3 now. We want to be careful with this when it comes in there. I would like to see a break through this the CBA area. If we can break through that, then we may be good to go on up to this area. This would be my target. I want to make sure I have at least 7 pips to this area right here. I just got an alert on the there's the US, or the US yen, and it just, let's see what it did. Oh my gosh. It reversed on us. Checking out the bottom of the wedge. Little head fake right in there. We'll see if what happens with if it can hold, if this can hold. I'm going to keep my stop down below here. It was a 9 pip stop. It's on the other side of the wedge. If it breaks through the wedge, it may come and retest this area. If it does, we'll see. There's not going to be much of a room for the 105.45. 45 to 39. That's only 6 pips to the bottom trend line, which has not been confirmed yet. I'll wait and see. Move this down to let's see, I'll move this over to the bottom of the wedge and set the alarm again. As we're testing, as we're taking a look at the euro. This one's trying to break out of the top side. Again, we're looking right into this area right here. We have all of our higher time frame moving averages are sitting right in there. And the have euro strength. Dollar is relatively weak. Let's see where it is with the yen. The yen is, dollar is stronger now with the, on the 15. This could just be a pullback and retest the bottom of the wedge. I'm just going to either get stopped out or not. I'm going to keep my stop at the bottom of the wedge here. I like to keep it below this 15 moving average, 62 moving average. I'm going to move it down just a little bit here because I expect it may bounce off of this one or bounce off of this. There's our 62 on the 15. Here's, let's mark the 62 on the 5-minute chart.
All right, finally.
And this is the area where we may end up, could maybe take a second position. Remember last week we were saying is take a smaller position. I took 1% up here. If it comes back down to this area, take another 1%, but use the same stop. And so I'm going to try that technique here a little bit. See if we get a bounce off of the moving averages. Right now, this area seems like it's got to get through the 62 on the 5. It's got to get through the 62 on the 15. And my target and my stop is below that, so.
We're probably going to have quite a bit of movement because the markets were pretty much closed pretty good yesterday. So I would anticipate quite a bit. It's more of a slow day.
Yeah.
What currency pair are we on? UJ?
This is UJ, and we had a US Euro US is going right up into a 30 minutes 62 and a 15 minutes 62.
Okay.
So I don't like this area at all for. I'm still gonna say that that's a trap up in there.
I've been doing a lot of channels, Al. A lot of channels, and I'm starting to really like that idea.
Oh, for the with the drawing the channels.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like this as a pullback. I mean, it's still, my stop is still out of the way. It looks like it's getting the bounce off of here. If I can get another close above my 3 moving averages to the upside, this could be just a really deep pullback back into the wedge. I'm taking some heat on this one, but I'm still gonna, I do like having the stop being on the other side of the wedge. I do like that. So here's the low on there, tweaking it. I mean, we never did really tweak this thing for the exact pivot area, which is pretty much right there. Basically, my stop is below the that bottom trend line. We'll see how this little pullback goes. This was a pretty pretty steep move although it came right down into this wick right here. On my 1 minute chart, identify that wick. See how that plays out on the 15. You see how that's coming right into the, if I look at my fib zones, I just find that so amazing how these things repeat themselves.
Al, I need to show something.
Okay, all right. I'll stop sharing.
Okay, so it's an update from trade we took yesterday. Or whatever. I had that's the UJ. Remember where we took the break?
Yep.
Or when was this? Maybe not yesterday. Yeah, it was. Okay.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
All right. So we took the break. Check the stick, guys. Look. It went to the bottom of the channel. I exited here because that was a safe stick. That's where we talked about exit. But, I mean, look, 22 pips.
Nice little trade.
That's an awesome trade. Okay, and then here, I just want to share one thing, as long as everyone's around. And then, guess what we're going to do next? We're going to do another channel. So we're going to do a parallel channel. And basically, this is kind of going to be the trend line. So this is a narrow channel. Very narrow. Give me a sec. So you guys took this trade. What time was the alert?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock. Oh, it's still early. All right. So then that's how we like it. And then we went out and then we did the let's see if I'm gonna draw it like you've Al. So it's ascending?
Yeah, it was ascending. Yes, it was an ascending wedge.
That's a really strong top, even though it's kinda right here. So I might move this closer. And I'm not doing my wedge, my thing here. I would do it here because this is just further confirmation that this trend line here is really good. This trend line up here, that's the top of the channel, is really good. If we get a nice bounce back here, this could be a power move. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, Pedro saw something.
That he's loving the channels.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, channels are interesting, guys. Basically, all you're doing is looking for the top and the bottom of the price and drawing trend lines, and they're pretty strong. And they're not hard to do because TradingView gives us a tool to do them.
And so I'm going to go back over to the 1 minute chart.
All right, so we're back into the wedge, right?
We're back into the wedge. We're back into the channel, basically, the channel that I had. It did break my channel just briefly.
Yeah,
right now it's back into the wedge. So right now it's still showing a little bit of weakness. I mean, you could have two choices right now. You could either just get out of the trade and wait for a better entry with only a couple pip loss. Right now I would be down. Let's see, I would be down roughly from here to here. That's 3 pips. It looks like it still has some downward momentum. So I could take the loss, get out with 3 pip loss, maybe come back down here and see if it gives me another entry, which I think is what I'm going to do, because this thing could give me a better entry. I'll take the 3 pip loss on this. It's back in the channel. I got out of a little better spot. And it is having to try and get through this area. It did bounce off of that. But I'd like to see another better break. So we do have a high, a low, lower high, higher low. This is where the wedge was. Now we have a higher high, higher low, but I think there's probably a good chance it's going to come down and retest the bottom of this. This little wick here has been tested once, and the wedge has not been tested yet. And we're also
Yeah.
starting to get a little bit more weakness to the downside. So I'll take my 3-pip not hit. And that's, if you can keep your losses within 3 pips, all you need is 1/7 pip. It will take care of two losses like that.
Exactly. So that was a wise move, Al, to exit that trade. Because I think we're going to get a hook back to the upside. I think this is just cycling up. But we'll see what happens.
So right now it has made higher highs, has higher lows, and I think I'd be more apt to take this thing long with the stop down below here if it breaks. I like these RSIs down low.
There's still room,
It's
though,
starting to
Al.
trend. It's starting to trend here a little bit. Room to what? The downside?
Yeah, till the bottom of the channel. I don't like it more or less, but I'm going to try something.
I'm looking at this area right in here as the trap on the downside.
Yeah, it would probably be a pretty short move. Like maybe 5, 10, maybe 15 pips to the downside and then going to reverse. I think we're going up, but I could see it come down to 40.26 before it turns around. Because that's the bottom of the channel, and that would give us that head fake that we had, and it's probably going to give us another alert on UJ.
So rather than taking that second position down here, I'm going to take my first position down here because I'm going to wait for this. I see a little low here, higher low. Once I can get a hook, this is on the 5-minute chart, and you can see now on the 15, these are pointing down too. So right now it's sort of tracking inside this wedge. Inside the wedge, you're looking at about 3 pips, I think, maybe wick to wick, wedge to wedge is roughly. Well, we have a 6-pip move inside here.
Yeah, that's what I saw as well. 5, 6 pips from top to bottom of the wedge.
Here's a green fib line right here. Here's our red fib line up top. And so right now our thirds on this, I would be putting in this direction here. So here's a red line, here's a red fib line, here's a green fib line. I'm going to take these little green areas off, or yellow areas off of this. Make that a 0. Take that off. Take this one off. I think it's been confusing people with where I did that. So here's the top third, middle third, bottom third is coming into the bottom third. Now this should only be about 3.5 pips of each one of those little sections in there. We're on the yen pair. They're only about 3 pips, 3.5 pips. Each one of these sections, the green, the black, and the red, are only 3.5 pips apart. So if we can get in fill down here, we can get our 7 pips up to the green line. So I'm going to try taking this thing long.
Okay, we've got a question from Beach Panda
Uh-huh.
saying if there's a potential for a 7-pip drop, why is there emotional bias to not enter a short trade on the UJ?
You're so good. I took a short. Just because I wasn't in the other one and it made sense for me. But the other side of this whole coin is that we naturally want to be in conflict with ourselves. We believe one thing and we might see something else. I don't know how else to explain it. We don't trust I don't trust myself sometimes. I trust the system, but I don't trust my emotions. So it's hard to switch from okay, it's going to come down, it's going to come down, it's going to come down, and then, oh, yeah, no, it's going up now. And I don't want to reverse my position because that means I'm wrong in the first one. That's the convoluted way of
Brain game.
saying.
It's the brain game, right, Max?
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
absolutely correct. You've got so much in your head that can screw you up, for the lack of a better word. And when you're reversing your position, automatically you're telling yourself, well, you messed up in the first place. And then when you have this doubt, then you start to doubt the. If you're not careful, you can doubt your system.
It's
And
he says Al calls that the BTE. Exactly. That's exactly.
yeah, yeah, and some people's BTE is so messed up that it takes years to unwind. And going both sides, that takes a lot of mental fortitude. Let's put it that way.
Here's what I liked about what I just did here is that we started off the wedge with a high, low, lower high, higher low. That's what determined our wedge. We had the breakout of the wedge area, and now so that took us from a high to a low to a higher high, came down to a higher low. This thing is now beginning to start showing signs of a trend. It had faked us up here, but came back. It did break that. Now it's coming back to pick up its buddies down here. And that's why I said here was the trap. And it still may come down. But what we have with our fib lines, we have the top third, middle third, bottom third. It came down to the bottom third, got a bounce. And if so, right now my risk is 3.5 pips to the downside. My profit margin is 7 pips to the top side. So it's 1/3 to 2/3. Now, if this thing doesn't break, if this thing breaks and keeps on going lower, well, then I'll just take my small loss. I said I could take 2-3 pip losses and still be break even with 1 7 pip gain. So the idea here is to try and keep the losses small. Also, we've been finding out that it's been head faking, it's come down, bouncing off, and then going back up again. So all it's really doing is giving us some confirmation that move is to the upside. Plus, I got into the trade with a hook on the low side, hooking to the upside, and I still had. Now I'm on the 5-minute chart. Let's see where we are with the yen pair here, and the dollar is still strong even on that pullback. So, and so if I'm wrong, I lose 3 pips by saying the chance of gaining 7 if it comes back and retests the other side of the wedge.
It's not bad,
Because
though.
our target is actually getting further away as the top of the wedge gets further away.
Yes. So I'm still in this short, just so people are aware. The only reason I took it short is because it broke out of the bottom of my wedge. So it bounced at the bottom a couple times. I'll show you guys all later in a little bit. Where it's bounce, and then broke the wedge, came back up and tagged it, and then took off. So there's a little bit of evidence to. There was enough evidence for me to take a short. Now, do I think it's going to be a big trade? No. But if you are long, you need to be ready that it can come to 1041 or even 1040 before it turns around and goes to the upside. Do I still think it's going to go to the upside? Absolutely.
The question is, how far is it going to pull back before it does? And
Bingo.
we could get a break. I mean, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. It's going to break the top here. It's going to break the bottom here, extend the wedge area with basically giving us a higher engulfing candle, base inside, and then break out.
Yeah.
That's not above the beyond the realm of possibility as well. But you see where this right now we had a nice hit respect to the wedge. This hit respect to the wedge.
we've
now,
got
right now, the only thing I've got risked right now is the spread, which is about a 1 pip spread on this right now.
Oh, that's nothing. You're swinging the bat for peanuts, right?
Yeah, swinging the
So
bat.
you need to. That's great risk reward. Um, I'm drawing a channel on Euro US. I like it to the short side because it's bouncing off the 30 minute 62 right now. So we'll see what.
This is coming right up into our trap. If this thing, and we're on the 15 minutes. As this thing comes up, if this thing can hook like it did here, look at this area right here. Look at this peak, lower peak. So we have a high, lower high, high, lower high, another lower high, and now it's coming up to retest this area. Like I said, it's right in the middle of the 62s, right in here. I'd be more apt to take this to the downside. If I take my C, if I flat fund my C with my A, that gives us right in this middle of this trap area.
Your Euro US, right?
Euro US. Yeah, this is Euro US.
So right about where it is now, that's probably pretty good because and another advantage of drawing these channels is that you're going to be able to see the wedges pretty clearly. It helps you see them. Because you see the top and the bottom, and then your eyes are going to focus in the middle, and then you're going to see the wedge. Oh, yeah, I'm taking that one short. Euro US, I'll take that one short right now. I'm fine with that.
Our US yen is starting to
Break to the
retest the top
upside.
to the upside.
Yeah. Euro US.
And I'll go and show how this thing's playing out.
Short. Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's
Go to my 5-minute chart. Take off some of this noise. Because really right now, the wedges that we're looking at right now are the trend lines. This trend line, now this is developing. Like I said, here's a high. Here's a low, here's a high, higher low. And now we're starting to trend with a higher high, higher low. This is where the wedge alert came in. And now it's continuing the trend and the channel. Put this back on.
Euro US is in profit.
Here was the alert. Here was the break. This was the third, where I have the arrow. That's usually my third hit of the major trend line. Bring this down to the bottom. And I can actually take this down to anchor. Here's a hit. Here's our third hit right here.
So right now, I'm apparently trading in conflict because I've got a sell on UJ and I've got a sell on Euro USD. But because US is the strongest pair on as the first pair on one of them and the second pair on the other, it means that one of them could potentially not hit its target.
And with this trade, I should be able, if it gets up here with that 7 pips, let me just make sure my target's set right for, let's move this back to 7 pips and see if we can get my target filled here. Right there to the yellow line.
What kind of target you have on Euro US, Al? Did you enter that one short?
I did not enter that one.
Okay.
I didn't enter that one. Too busy watching this yen pair.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Euro US. So yeah, this one, and this was, I think that was a good entry up here. I said, just because it breaks out of a wedge doesn't mean it's always going to go long. In fact, most of the time, I think more often than not, it breaks out of the wedge and only retraces back again. And that's where you have to be really careful what's on the other side of that wedge. Is there a brick wall or is it just clear skies? In this case, it was a brick wall. And depending on what the slope of the trend line is, will depend a lot on how much room you're going to have when the break is. And that's why I put it with the A, and I put this at the top of where it was challenged. So if it breaks the top of the wedge, it comes right in. I mean, it's got to get all the way through this area right here before this would be almost like a target. But knowing you've got these moving averages, they become a pretty strong wall on breakouts if they're on the other side of the breakout.
Yeah.
You have a much safer bet that it's going to bounce off, especially if they're pointing down.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we've had another couple of alerts.
Ooh.
An ascending US CAD and a descending Kiwi US.
Yes.
Thanks, Rajiv, for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah. For some reason, my phone's not audio. I get them on my phone, but I don't have the audio on it for some reason. I have to.
Oh, it's Telegram, right?
Yeah, they are Telegram. Yeah, it should be Telegram.
Yeah.
Fact, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
I don't have my Telegram up. That's what the problem is on my phone.
Could be. Let's see what happens here.
Let's try that. See if that helps any.
Let's go see. I'm gonna go check UCAD. See what we got here.
And I'll have a look at the Kiwi.
Okay, and I'll keep on looking. I'll keep on working this US yen trade since we're already in this one.
Oh, that's a big. It's a real big candle to the upside on UCAD. US has a lot of strength today. See what happens. Was that UCAD at 8:45?
Yes, it was.
We're doing now. Okay. Yeah, because it broke out right after the alert to the upside.
Which is what oftentimes it does. And we've gotten right now, we have a 30-minute 62 at the target would be at 31.23 right now for if you did get into that trade on that breakout.
Yeah.
I would expect to bounce right off of that. So my yen trades doing.
Sorry, you said the target on that would be 31.34 or 31.38?
31.24 is the 30-minute 62.
That would be an acceptable target. That would give you your 7 pips, even from now.
In the US, yeah, okay. I thought I was looking at another chart. I didn't have the.
But I like it short better than long.
The one about this trade right now, it went from the bottom third to head through the middle, and now it's hitting the upper third. We'll see where this closes on the 5-minute. Right now, my target's still up here. I may want to just back this target off just a little bit so it can mix it. That way, if it comes up and gets past this right here, I need this wick area to be able to get filled on this. That's basically 5.8 pips. It basically needs to have 7 pips in order to get filled at 5.8.
Hmm.
And the fact that it came all the way up here, it's in the upper third. It couldn't break through this red fib line. So it's basically trading between the red and the green, and we're just trying to catch that middle third, which is where we are right now. So if this thing comes up and hooks, I'll just close the trade. As soon as this thing gets up to this RSI, this blue RSI, 3-period RSI gets up to the 89, like it did here. It came right up to 89, came up to the 89. This one comes up to the 89. It'll probably do a little bit of a bounce. Right now, the dollar is still strong. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I couldn't get the mic turned off in time. I tried.
Yeah, like we could tell. Let's see. We're coming up to the 9 o'clock hour. We're probably going to get some kind of decisive move and probably end up being able to close some trades here.
Well, I said if within about, if this doesn't close out by 8:55, I'm going to close myself out of this.
Are you in profit on that one?
Oh, yeah. Right now I'm up. Actually, I'm up.
Oh, it just bumped up. You're in UJ, you
just
said,
bumped
right?
up. Yep.
Yep. All right. Yeah, I'm on the other side of that.
And if it just comes up and tags my profit, I'm just going to close myself out.
Well, the upper side of my my channel on UJ is at 105.55.
I'm out of this trade. It came right on up. It tagged the upper trend line, backed off a little bit. I'm not going to fight for another couple. I'm not going to fight for a half a pip and give up 5.5.
No, it's not worth it, Al.
My goal was to get in down here and to get out up here, and that's what I did. So
that makes sense.
So that one's done. That one's done.
The Beach Panda had a great comment, and I'm actually living that comment right now. I've got 2 shorts, and they're in currency pairs that have a reverse or inverse correlation. So it means that basically I should be in 1 buy and 1 sell, but I'm actually in 2 sells. So
well, here's something that might be interesting to take a look at while we're talking about this.
Talk to me.
I found something the other day that I had in my little chart, so I didn't realize I had it. This is something else that Anthony gave us, was a correlator.
Okay, yeah.
And what this thing does, let's see if I can, what it does, it gives us a certain amount of pairs, and it shows you how well they're correlated with each other. I haven't really used this much. I'm not really sure exactly what I'm looking at, but we have all the pairs and shows how well they're correlated together. Like, for instance, like right now, the British US and the Euro Yen are relatively correlated.
Interesting.
On the same token, the British US and the US Swiss are negatively correlated.
Right. So one's going up, one's going down.
Yeah. So the more that they're going up and down together, they're correlated. The more they're going opposite each other, the more they're negative correlation.
So UJ.
Now, so the UJ Euro. Which one are you looking at? US.
UJ and Euro USD.
US Euro USD.
It's not there.
Nope, that one's not. It only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pairs.
It would be interesting to expand that a little bit.
Oh, expand the pair ranges?
Yeah.
Yeah. And these are probably just the ones that we probably trade the most, I'm guessing. But like the US Swiss, if you're the US Swiss, it's negatively correlated with the British US, for example. A lot of these are pretty much, these are kind of bunched together, right? And here they're all kind of correlated. These are the extremes here. So this one, which would be the, looks like that's probably be the Euro Yen, I'm going to guess. Well, no, that'd be the British US, and is negatively correlated with the US Yen and the US Swiss. So, for example, if you're trading the British US, and you're trading the US Swiss, you wouldn't want to be trading them in the same direction. You would be trading them in opposite directions.
So Al, if I had that, I probably wouldn't have been overexcited and got myself into the pickle I got myself into. Now, right now, it's not that big of a deal because I've got one trade and pretty good profit, and so I would be, if I close out all my trades, it would be like, it would equal to slush. It would be maybe 3 pips in the red. It's not even worth talking about.
So what pairs are you in there, Matt? Let's just take a look at
I'm
this.
in Euro US short
Euro, US,
and UJ short.
and UJ. Let's just take all these other off. There's UJ. And so basically, Euro, US, where's the other one?
I'm watching the relationship between the two, and it's pretty interesting. It seems
Euro,
like Euro
US,
US moves first,
and UJ.
and then US DJPY moves like another maybe a minute after.
What I'm not understanding is why the other one's not showing up on here.
No, it's interesting, right?
Euro, US. Maybe I just need to change the colors. Maybe I just can't see it. Let's make that one white.
See, Euro US got a pullback, and your UJ got a pullback at the same time.
Anyway, I'm just going to turn this off since we're not really. Okay, we're back on the Euro US chart. See where this is doing. We came up, got a trap, came back into the wedge.
Oh,
Now we could do the wedge like this, following the major trend line as it broke through. Have the hook. Let's see. And right now the euro is stronger, not by a lot. It's pretty much in the middle. I still wouldn't be taking this trade right now. And what's the other US CAD? I didn't do that one yet. Let's take a look at that. US CAD. We have the US CAD at 845.
in one of our other groups, there was a pretty substantial post about US CAD. Pretty substantial post.
About what? What did they?
Oh, just about a potential trade setup. So I have to go check out that post anyway.
Clear this out of the way. And right now I'm going to look at a higher time frame chart and just see what kind of direction this thing's looking in. So strong move down, basing right in here. So I would be looking at, here's our playground, right? We're looking at right now. From there to the bottom. There's our playground. This is the area we're looking at primarily. The range box. Go back to 15-minute. So this is the box that we're looking in. Let me tweak this mic up just a little bit there. This is a little bit what we discussed yesterday with some other people do. They find the alert and then they find the pivot highs, pivot lows before that of the day. You can look at it from the day or however you want to reference it. With strong move down, we have all of our 62s are moving down. I don't want to be taking this thing long. I prefer to be taking it short on a pullback. Take this one out of the way. And here is our alert. And so I'm looking at seeing where this area of operation. So if we try and break this down into thirds, let's just see if I break this into thirds from here to here. Now let's see if we have any fib lines that are going to be close to this. Put a fib line on. Now here's a fib line up here. Here's a fib line down there. So why don't we just take this and bring it down to here? We can expand it a little bit further here, a little bit further up at the top. And we're going to make this one a green blue. I'm going to take this other stuff off of here. I might have to double change these a little bit. 0, take this one off, take this one off. That way I just have just strictly the green and blue lines. Now, this is off of a 15-minute, these are all 15-minute fib lines. This is the bigger range that we're talking about. Here's our box, here's our white lines or our box. So we can almost look at this area right up in here as without even looking at it on the left-hand side, we can just say, here's our supply up here. If I can get this to draw.
Okay, I exited my UJ trade on that pullback down. And Beach Panda, you said not to trade in conflict, so we're going to do, if it's not a short, then it's going to be a long.
This is going to be demand. And we're trying to get in. We want to try and go short up here. We want to try and go long down here. And right now we're just waiting to see if this thing comes up. Somewhere up in this top third, we want to try and get in to go short. Somewhere in the bottom third, we want to try and go long. If everything over here seems to fit. If I take this all the way over and see what we can find over here. And I like this little area right here. It came strong move down, came back up, retested it, made a lower low, retest it, lower low, retest it. This is a nice little area right in here for the supply. And right here is the top of the box, but we can take it on up to, we can take it as much as up to there if we wanted to. This was tested right there. So when I say anything up in this area, it'd be more apt to take it short. If everything says to say otherwise. On the CAD, it was ascending. So now let's try and draw the wedge. We have our box, we have our extensions. Let's take it up there like that. I'll just keep those there.
Al, remind me to show you something later on. I think
Okay.
I may have found something that we can add to our trading.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Euro US is breaking to the downside really violently.
I just got my 7 pips on the New Zealand US.
Booyah.
Yeah.
Here's the break. Here's, be careful of this area right in here. Let's see where this is. That's okay. This is the low.
I'm not exiting that trade yet for Euro US. My target on this one, just in case anyone is in there, I'm looking at potentially oh wow. All right. Same story as yesterday. The wick, the stick is on the outside of the channel, so I'm gonna say something like 1.1775 as my target for Euro US. And because I'm in a long now with UJ, I got out of my bad position, so I got out with like a 4 pip loss. And for this one, for UJ long, well, the easy target would be 105.57. That would be the more conservative target. But it could honestly come up to something like 105.61. But it's not that much of a difference. Now I should have taken my Euro US profits where they were. That would have been a good one. But I let it retrace against me because I wanted the bigger move. So that's the draw. That's the give and take that you got to figure out what you're willing to do. Because if you get out when it hooks back, when the RSI hooks back and comes back up, as soon as that little hook back shows up in your indicator, if you get out on the 1 minute, then you could potentially take another. Here, see if I can show. Is that cool, Al?
Yeah.
If I show you what, all right.
I'll stop while I'm drawing this thing out.
Yeah, draw that one out, and I will share my screen. So here, I'll show you what I did. I'll explain UJ right now. Whoa. Sorry, guys. You didn't need to see 8 charts at once. All right, so here's my channel. 15 minute. Let's go to the 1 minute. Let's do 1. All right, so here. And here. All right, so I had entered a buy when it broke here. And then, I had entered a sell when it broke here, actually. When it broke here, I entered a sell, and then that was a head fake. So it kind of made like a little wedge down here. I don't know if you can see that on your end, but there's a little bit of a wedge right there. So that's a problem. I should have known better instead of taking a short there, but that's okay. I ended up getting out of it right here, which means that there's basically like 4 pips. So that's not bad. Now, I took it long when it came back and touched this top of this 1 minute wedge. I said, hey, it bounced long. Let's go. I'm happy with that. My target, 105.57.67. I will take it for a little bit of 6.5 pips or whatever, and I'll be happy with that. That'll put a smile on my face. So that's the setup for UJ that I just took. That's how you would. So Beach Panda made the comment about taking a trade when you think that it's higher like working against yourself. And this is how you kind of prevent it. So let's go look at Euro US. I will show you from the 15-minute chart here. This is my channel here. It's pretty cool. It's good. Downward channel. Here's the wedge. Boom, boom. That's the wedge that I drew. I should change the color because I'm getting all my colors mixed up. Not good for anyone. And here's my stick target on this one. And then, so remember, the stick target has a 77% chance, you could say 75 if you want, to reach it. So we'll see what happens here. That's a 5-minute chart. And then we'll go down to the 1 minute. So 1 minute, we are bouncing off the top of the wedge. This wedge line is already established. It's good. Like that's good. That's fine. I trust it. This, I trust it too. Bang, 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 bang. So it broke it. It came back up, tagged it, and now I'm looking for it to come down. So this could be interesting as well. So right now, Euro US, I'm in profit of a little bit, but that's basically the setups that I've had in the last little bit. Al, you can take her away.
Okay. Well, what I'm looking at while you were doing all that, I'm looking at taking this Euro US short
Yep.
at the bottom of this wedge.
Oh, I don't see your screen yet.
Oh, you don't see it? Oh, let me. How about no? There we go.
Yep.
So we had the hit. Well, let's see where we had the. Let's see where my this was where it was. Remember to lock these things in here. Here's my range of operation.
Let's go.
And this is where we had the head fake, and I think Matt, you said you took it short up here. Came
Yeah.
down here, came down to the bottom of the wedge, broke the bottom wedge. It's a nice strong move down. Everything's still showing a short here. The dollar is still showing strong by 3 on the 5. Came down, 5-minute candle came down, broke, came up, retested it. And right now and there's a blue fib line right here. And what I'm looking at this thing to do is to be testing from it closed below the fib line, retested the wedge, retested the fib line. Now, if this thing breaks to the downside, I'm looking for the target. We should be able to get down into, or at the upper third. Here's the bottom third. Here would be my target, maybe down in this area, which would give me about 9 pip target, 7 pip stop. My stop is pretty much on the other side. I could actually put my stop on the other side of the wedge, but I'll just leave it right where it's at right now. If this thing goes back into the wedge, I'll take the stop out.
Oh, Al. Did you know that the your target of 1772 is the bottom of my channel?
1772, which is right
Down a little
down
bit
here,
more.
down a little bit lower. The thing is, this was the trap. It's kind of stalled in here. Here's the demand zone that we drew from the way off to the left of the chart. And right now I'm looking to see, as long as this fib line holds, which is right here where these two blue areas are together. As long as that holds, we should be able to go short and at least come down and get the bottom third and get into this black zone. That would be the bottom third of the next channel.
And your demand zone, your 1772
is right in the middle of this whole
bottom
thing
of my
here.
channel.
Yep.
So that is my target as well. My actual target based on the stick, though, is 1769, but I'm willing to take 1772 because 5 pips, I'll take that.
The fact that we already had the head fake to the upside, a lot of times you get the head fake to the upside and then it comes down, and then it starts the bigger move to the downside.
Exactly. And we're so excited to get into a trade once it breaks the wedge finally that if we were using a higher time frame as a confirmation of your entry, then you would prevent that head fake. So like a 5-minute candle close in your direction, 2 pips up outside of the wedge, that will prevent some of the head fakes. But a 15-minute candle close is too high for me. I don't want to go to that time frame because it's just too big of a...
Right now, with look at our moving averages, we can see that on the 15-minute chart, we have, let's see, that's it. Let me take this off here. We have the
All right,
15,
I'm happy.
13, 5, all moving to the downside. The 62, 13, 5, all moving to the downside. 62, 13, 5, all moving to the downside. All 3 moving averages are in the right direction. Our dollars is showing the strength to the euro. Dollar is the second currency of the pair, strength to the downside. And so everything is aligning. We had the break of the wedge, and right now we're looking for the target of somewhere down here in this, our 7 pips be down here in this middle zone right here.
So both US JPY and the Euro US are creating 1-minute wedges. On the USD JPY, it's actually an ascending wedge with a flat top. And on the Euro USD, it's a 1-minute descending wedge with a flatter bottom. So by knowing what happens when you put a stick on those wedges, it then means that once it breaks out of there, the likelihood is that it's going to go the length of the stick, which is going to give you that much more profit. And maybe it might be worth showing, Al. What do you think?
The stick?
More than the stick, the actual 1-minute wedge. The 1-minute wedge on both the UJ and the Euro US.
Here's a Euro US.
So there's a really nice 1-minute wedge on both currency pairs.
So I'm not sure. Do you want me to bring anything over to this part?
1-minute wedge. Oh, much smaller than that, Al. Much smaller. So tiny, tiny, tiny.
So you want to move this over here? Is that what you're saying?
No. Make it bigger. I mean, right where price is right now. Like I'm talking like a
Oh,
real
where is it?
1 minute wedge.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Draw a
not
new
like
one.
a 5 or 15-minute wedge. I'm talking like real 1 minute on the outside of your 15-minute wedge.
So I think you're referring to this little area right in here.
Yes, absolutely. So if you put a stick there, once it breaks out of this formation, then that's your target. So you can make a flat bottom if you want, or you can make it kind of like that. But to me, like it's going to 11778, almost guaranteed, because it's making a wedge. And then once it breaks that wedge, whatever it's doing, it's going to go that same length of the wedge, which is like 6 or 7 pips.
So you're looking at the length from B to the bottom?
And wherever that goes, and if you put that stick, I know I'm going fast, guys. I'm just really, really excited about the whole, everything that's going on with trading in the last little bit. Just really gonna crush the charts. Let's put it that way. All right, guys, coming down on Euro US. So
here's the target. There would be the stick target.
yeah, and
We'll put it on
then
the UJ.
UJ, it's at the top of my channel. So now it's going to break the top of the channel, and then Euro US is going to come to the downside and tag 1773. There's the top.
I don't know.
You know when
you're here's UCAD.
You know when you're right, you're right. But it's just a setup. Here's the bottom of that channel where Euro US is.
I don't even know what chart you're talking about. Which one are you talking about?
I'm going all over
You've
the
lost
place.
me.
I'm sorry. Euro US. So Euro US, we're at the bottom of the channel.
Oh, here's the breakout right here.
Yep. So that's the bottom of the channel right there. I should probably go check my trade station.
And I just made my target on this one right here.
Boom. Oh, yes. And I'm not exiting that trade yet. I'll tell you when I exit.
I'm already out of it. That came right into our demand zone, came right into this third. And I was testing the bottom third here.
Yep. So I made back my loss on UJ with my UJ buy. And Euro US, I am up. I don't even know how many pips that is.
Nice move down here.
Yeah. So I don't know. I must be up like I'll have to check after the trade's over. It's just going.
Here's the bottom third of our zone that we were looking at, the fib nines we were looking at.
What did we talk about target, Al? We said 1772, right? As the middle of your third zone.
As the middle of here. I'm sorry, I'm already out. I already hit my target.
Oh, you're fine.
But I already hit the target, but now it's going down. So it went from the blue zone, came right down to the middle. That's where our stick was. Now it's coming down to retest the bottom of this trend line. And here, now if you come over here, if I just put this right here at the bottom of this candle right here, and then we slide on over to the higher time frame, you can see where this thing all lined up. You see which candle pretty much lined up right with this candle right here, this blue candle. Here is the wick. Here's the bottom of this whole area right in here. And let me grab this phone call real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll share my screen just so we can keep talking. Oh, that's messed up. All right. Let's see some screens here. All right. So here's the break to the upside. This is the stick of my wedge. That's the target. And for the sake of craziness, let's put Euro US here as well. And here is the downside. Here's my channel that I drew. Here's my stick of my wedge. And we are still going down. I'm excited for some movement. There's some movement on the charts today, guys. Got some real movement on the charts today.
And I'm back.
Nice. So here's the setup. Here's that 1 minute wedge that I drew. I put the stick from the middle here to there. I drew it. I put it here. We hit our target. As for Euro US, I'm going to exit that trade. I am satisfied with the pips that I got. Actually, I'm going to wait until I get one more little confirmation. Almost messed that one up.
H. Panda says that he just made back the losses plus 1 pip on the recent EU move.
All right, solid. Good. All right. So
keep in mind with that Euro US trade, just remember you're just pumping out, you're getting down into that bottom third of those Fed lines, and you're coming down into another extension of the demand zone. So if you're anywhere close to taking profits, you may want to be thinking about that, or you can go for the bigger run, but don't give up a winning trade. I guess that would be you are coming into a demand zone where it did have a bounce.
What's the demand zone, Al? Right now?
I'd be calling it the region of 1767 to 1758.
I just exited Euro US. So
I'll go and show my chart here.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna stop sharing. So exited. Yeah, you could be pushing something there, Beach Panda, but I am not taking a buy in that kind of a downward trend on Euro US.
It would be tempting, though. It is tempting.
It is, but I'm still not taking it.
Yeah. As we're getting closer to the market open in 6 more minutes, we could start getting to see a little bit of reversals at 9:30. So if you are in any trades, you may want to be, if you're profitable in any trades, you may want to consider preserving those profits.
Yeah, and then maybe looking for a better entry by doing 1 minute wedges, right?
Yeah. Wait till the market opens, let the market stabilize.
So right now,
we can see how oftentimes we get these little head fakes and then it comes back down to the bottom and then just makes the move. And that's what but you can see where even like if you're looking at on the Euro US is a good example of this. We basically have all of our moving averages are moving in the downward direction. Our 30 minute and our 30 minute and our 15 moving averages are all moving in the right direction. We had the wedge. It was below those moving averages, came up, went right up into those that channel of the 30 and the 62, got the trap. This is where people would say, oh, it's breaking out, it's going to the upside. If you don't know this is sitting up here, you're going to think, oh, it's going to break to the upside. Here's my target. But it has to get through this. It's got to get through this level. It's got to get through this wick. It's got to get through all this area right here from this wick all the way to the bottom of where the moving averages were. It's got to get through that whole area. And that's where people get themselves caught. And then from 1806 to 1796. So basically, this is a 10 pip range, but you've got 2 major moving averages sitting there right there. Once that happens, if it comes back into the wedge, there's probably a good chance it's going to break out the bottom and then take it and then continue the down move. This is really only you have a drop, a base, and then another drop. Now this thing could very well go. If we expand this out, let me expand this out. So if you go from here to here, come back to the top of this and measure that out, you may find a target zone. So if you go from here down to where the B is, come back to where this blue candle was here, and you come back down to the 0 to, actually this is the 70, I gotta move this over so I can see what the number is. The 78.6 retracement to the 1, and here's my other demand zone right here. This is the next area that you'll be looking at, and it's right in that area right now as we speak. It just made that 1-to-1 move. It's got a demand zone from reference to over here. You have a Fibonacci zone reference to this pullback from here to the top of this blue candle, 78 to 1. And you also have your Fibonacci zones for the price points of Fibonacci's right in this area. And you see it came right down in and it's bounced. To have this thing come back and retest this area would not be out of the question. And that's all I have to say about that. How's our yen trade doing? Yeah, this thing's just breaking to the upside here. This certainly broke this channel. And now it's looking, now the fact it broke here, this is another good drill here, is that nice move down, came back, drop, base, drop. If I measure it from this point to here, up to here, here's probably giving me my 78 to 1% target. Take a look at this, see if I'm right, see how close I haven't done this yet. There, here's where we had a wedge, came back up. We had a 50% retracement from here to here, retrace back 50%. I can tell that by this line right here. Here's my 78 to 1-to-1 target. And you can see right here, it fell right into this area right there. And if you look over to the chart, and if I can get this, and if I can, let me just get this thing extended out and see what's on the other side. If I can, why is this not? There we go. I know what it is. I find my settings here. I'll extend this thing to the left. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. And I come all the way over here to the left. Let me get on a higher time frame so I can see where we maybe have it. And you can see right in here. This is all the way. Let's see where we at. Here's where we are right now. Came back over. See this? Look at the strong move down. Came back up. Retraced. This is a significant wick right here. This is where the price came back to drive it back up again. You can take another mark here at the end of this wick, and that way you know how deep it went into the zone. Well, it penetrated even deeper, but now pulled back again. That was the bottom of where this whole move started. So you see how these things are all correlated with each other, how this all plays out.
So I'm taking another short into Euro US, and it's exactly the same story. I'm not looking for a big move. I've got a bottom 1 minute trend line, and it's a descending wedge.
You take another short?
Yep.
Euro US short, you say?
Yeah, just do a 1 minute wedge right after the breakout. Yeah.
Okay, let me get on that chart.
Let me see if I can kind of point you. So that last candle is on the outside.
Right here. Look at this area right here.
That last candle is on the outside of my 1 minute wedge. Now I need to slow down because I'm getting a little bit too excited. I don't want to give back my wins because today was a great day thus far. But my target for this one.
I'm just going to draw this on out to where I'm going to flat top the top, and I'm going to catch this little book right here. So I got this little.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I have mine.
I got this little area. So here's here's this red candle is the low. Here was the low to retest it, came back up. And I could probably do this pretty much right like that and take the C and align it so that I have a straight line from BDC and a straight line from the A to this wick to the C. So I can just scoot this in until I get both those. Here is the break. There's the break that Matt's talking about. And now the question is, do you have enough room to get another target here? We are coming into this area, but if we look at, see if there's another fib line on the, here's a, let's see, these are, it's not showing my, oh, I got to turn it on. And we have I'll put this on a 5 minute.
I hate saying this, but you know that that saying some people say that trend is your friend. Well, don't try and find the reversal. The easiest trades you're going to get are the continuations. Don't hunt for reversals. It's hard. That is...
Don't pick a top, don't pick a bottom.
No, look for something that's continuing to go in your direction. Like if we were trying to mess around with Euro US, someone mentioned something about Euro US reversal. Man, you don't want to touch that. You don't want to try to catch the bottom of this thing because we don't know where the bottom is. It could be now. It's probably not going to be now, but don't try and do that. Take the easy trades. Take the ones that are higher probability. That will help you in the long run. But we've had a big move down on Euro US. I would say this is what we call crushing the market.
So I'm looking to see where my next 15-minute fib line is, and it's probably all the way down. I'm not even seeing it. Oh, I could turn it on. Maybe that would help.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my blue 15. So here's my 15 here. Here's my, let's see, what's the next area is blue. Here's the red 15. 0, take this one off, take this one off. Get rid of those yellow bands. And so here's the blue. This is my major blue area. So here's so basically we're coming into a, let's see, this would be, I'm not sure how to describe this one.
What the...
Well, normally you have the blue with the green on top. And this would have blue with the red. So basically this would be an area where we'd be coming up for looking for supply, but this is basically what was supply is now demand. And so we really have, let me take this one off. I'm trying to see where the blue and green is. So here's the blue. Here's our green. So we're going to go with the blue to the green. So I'm going to make this green here. Blue, green.
I'll tell you guys one thing. That's the first time in a while that I've taken 2 trades in different currency pairs and that I was able to manage them properly without, like the first trade I took was let's just say it wasn't an optimal trade, so we got out at a little bit of a loss, but
basically what I'm seeing, let me get on a 15-minute chart.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, that's really small, Al. I don't know, maybe it's because it's on my laptop, but.
Well, I'm trying to find my zones here.
Oh, okay. Got it.
My 15-minute zones. I'm looking for my 15-minute zones. I'm using the 15 minutes as my primary, and then I'm using the 5 minutes as a secondary. So.
Oh, I like that. Okay, that's good.
So this is a 15-minute. So right now we're at a 15-minute blue. That's huge. That's what I call my major. This is my area where things are generally going to happen on a 15-minute. So we're with basically this is a 15-minute overshoot zone. Like if it were coming up from the bottom, it'd be this would be supply, but this would be the overshoot. So, but I'm going to look at this 15 minutes. So I'm looking at basically I've got a blue zone, red zone. So this is really at the top of this area. From you go from blue, red, green. This is the bottom of this area, and it's breaking through the bottom. So I'm going to go with see what time is it? 9:37. I'm still good with day. And so I'm going to go with my blue to the red. I'm going to just go blue to red. Where's my blue? Where's my blue? Blue's right here. I'm just going to make this
Have
get
my
rid
trade
of,
station open.
make this a 0. Then make this one. Take this one off. I'm going to get rid of those yellow boxes. What I'm going to do is what I'm doing here. So I have just a straight 15-minute zone. This would be where this is the middle of the. And from this range here on this Euro US, this should be about 62, I think, 62 pips. This is our major zone, and it's just breaking through the top of this. So it's basically going, this is the top third of the higher time frame. This is the bottom third. If I go take this now to a 5-minute, and I'm going to lock this. And if I take this now to a 5-minute, I'm going to find out where my 5-minute zone. Remember, if it's a blue 15, it's going to be a blue 5. It's going to be a blue 2. Any other color, if it's a green 15, it's going to be a blue 5 and a blue 2. Any color on the 15 is going to be blue on the other time frames. So if I'm looking at finding the inner price range of this, I'm going to go from this is the middle range right now, and I'm going to draw the fibs from a blue to green. This is on the 5-minute. So this is the middle range of that 15-minute candle. So basically, this is going to be 7 pips, 7 pips, 7 pips. So each one of these is going to be 7 pip regions. So and it's going to move in 7 pip movements.
Holy smokes!
And I'm going to say it's going to come right down to the middle of this zone and bounce back.
What currency pair again, Al?
This is Euro US.
Euro US. So where are you saying it's going to bounce?
Right about where it is, right
Right
there.
where it is now?
Yep.
Okay, that's good enough for me. I'll take that as an exit. That gives me another 11 pips. Oh,
It's still going.
okay, hold on.
But right now it just went 7 pips, just went another 14 pips, but now it's going to bounce. I think it's going to bounce off of this.
Yeah, it
Because
will.
this is now getting into
exiting.
another demand zone. This is getting into a higher time frame demand zone.
Now I'm going to look for UJ. I know it's a lot going on. Anyway, I'm looking for another buy on UJ once it pulls back, maybe to the channel. And then I'm probably going to stop trading because I don't want to turn this into a losing day. This has been the best day trading I've had in the last
It's almost seeming like the markets
3 months.
It's almost seeming like the markets are starting to play nice again.
Yes, that's what
I have noticed a change in the last couple of days that they're starting to get the breakouts and are starting to get the range on the
starting to make sense again,
like we were getting before.
Yeah, it's starting to make sense again. It's not as Al. I think you're right on point, Al. Your exit. Check that pullback now on Euro US. Came back up 5 pips.
It came right down to this. It just tagged the green box and rejected.
I love that. That means I got basically 100% of that move.
And this box is 7 pips. You have a 1.3. So basically, it had to go. If you had your target in the middle, it had to go past that in order to get filled. Oftentimes, it'll just come right down into the middle. But like I said, you can see that each one of these regions here should be 7 pips. 7.3. Here's 14 pips, 14.6. There's seven pips.
Uh,
So what I'm doing is I'm taking the higher time frame zone and then breaking that down into thirds.
yeah, and what I did is I just took what we know works, the wedges, and drew it down to a 5 minute and 1 minute chart and was just taking the pieces of it. And when you want, Al, I will show you because I did the markup. I'm going to share this in the group because I think it'll show you that what you're learning at a higher level can be applied to lower level with great success because it's fractal.
Good, you have the charts.
All right, cool. I will show you. So this doesn't always happen. It's just, I don't know. Things were looking good. And this is not me making stuff up either. It's not me. You know, you'll hear people, gurus and stuff, and they're so full of baloney because they will say stuff and try to like they'll make a post after the fact and they'll pretend like I've seen someone actually go, you know how we do the replay, Al? Well,
Yeah.
he had his charts marked up and then he did the replay. So pretending as if he got the whole move.
Okay.
Like just an absolute clown. Because he wants to sell programs. I'm not in here to sell programs. Our whole idea is to show the power of what we can do with wedges and technical analysis. So let's share my screen. Okay. So I'm not in any trade right now. Let's do that. Okay. So let's start from the beginning real quick. We drew the channel. The channel started.
Say, man, I got to step away for a minute. I'll be right back.
You're fine. Go right ahead. I'll have some fun. So what I did is I went to the 30-minute. This is a breakdown of all of the analysis that we did today. I went to the 30-minute. I drew a channel. I said, okay, this is where price could be. This is what's going to happen. Looks like I did it on the 15-minute, but you could do it this way too, right? It's not a bad thing right there. That's how I would say your channel is. If you're going to a 30-minute chart, boom, game over. Now we got our wedge alert. We drew our wedge alert. I went right to the 1 minute chart, but you can go to any chart you like. I like 1 minute. So here's that wedge. I lined it up on the 1 minute. So bang, bang, and boom, right? So I'm looking for these 3 points. This means this trend line is powerful. This price is going to have a hard time cutting through this. And Beach Panda, I want to thank you for making me really think that, of course, if it's not going to go up, then it's got to go down. It's going to go one way or the other. Or it could sit around and meander. But when you have a strong bounce like that, like you can get in there. Anyway, so I took the sell here. I took the sell and took it down to here. So if I go look at my trade station, it says my fill was at, let's go over this. This is cool because it didn't happen that much long ago, right? So my entry price, 1.1794. So 1.1794. So this candle right here. So that's where my entry was. And the reason I got in where I did is because we had a 1 minute wedge that I saw in my mind, but I didn't draw it. So anyway, you can draw the wedge inside this inside the wedge. So boom, 1 minute. So my target, it was based on the stick. So I drew my stick from here to there. I wanted a very conservative target. Hindsight's 20/20. So let's try something. If I wanted to see, I would say that from here to there, we're going to go down, and I'm going to see how far the stick goes. In this case, it would have worked as well. This is just a more conservative stick. So what we did is we took it there, out of the chute. My exit was once I started to see some basing. So once I started to see where these, I stayed in the trade because I saw the continuation wedge, the wedge that was going to continue on down. So I wasn't worried, and I had the stick once it finally broke. So that was comfortable for me. And then I saw another wedge, but I exited here. I exited right at the bottom. When I saw it come real down, and then I came up, and then it left a little wick, I said, okay, cool, let's exit. And then I waited for a re-entry. So my re-entry was actually at, what did I have here? 1.1766. Yeah, just on here. Somewhere in this candle is where I entered again, because I had 1, 2, 3. 3 hits on the trend line, and I took the sell. And then I looked for a stick. I said, okay, well, at least I'm going to get my 5 to 7 pips out of this trade. What I did is I waited for it to come down. I saw it leave a little wick, but I still stayed in it. And then went down, and then my exit again was at, this one was 1.1751 right here. So I gave it the wick and I exited here. So that gave me another couple pips. But all I was doing was drawing wedges within the 1 minute. It wasn't rocket science. So after paying the dealer, it's about 18 pips or so. So 18 pips plus $25. So that's the most amount of pips I've made in a little bit. And it started with a trade in the wrong direction. My initial trade, where, because losers are important too, right? There was no loser trade on Euro US. Euro USD, there was no loser trade. It was actually on the UJ. UJ was the loser.
Yeah, I got out of that UJ, then I got profitable, and then we reversed back pretty much into where that first trade would have been okay too, but it would have been taking some heat on it.
Yeah, this looks powerful. But anyway, what I did on UJ, I had my channel, I had a smaller channel, and then here that was, I don't know why I tried to sell at the top of a channel. I did that again, and I need to beat myself over the head, because you don't try to catch the top, and you don't try to catch the bottom. Anyway, so here was the original one. Let me see where my entry is. My first entry, my loser trade, was at 105.46. So 105.46. Come on. Here. 105.46. Yeah, see how bad that was? That's bad. Anyway, sorry, I'll get rid of those arrows. I took a sell there. And then my exit on this trade was over at 105.53. Right here. That was my exit. That stunk. It's a little bit more than what I had originally caught. It's like 5 pips, right? 5 pips in the red. It's worth a couple bucks, you know? But it got out at a good time. That was a good exit. I looked for the pullback. Now, the reason I went long was I made this wedge here, right? And then I put the wedge at the break. And I said, well, if I'm exiting because I think it's going up, then guess what? You probably could consider taking a buy into there. So decided to take a buy because it was going in the same kind of relationship with the Euro US. So US was really strong. So I was trading to the US strength. Now we might have an opportunity to enter on here. I'm going to be very careful to make sure that I don't overanalyze and mess my head up. But now we've got a channel breaker. So it broke the channel. Let's make a 1 minute. Let's get rid of this. This is too much. But if I did, this is a very narrow channel, very narrow. It's because we had a very, still a channel, right? It's narrow. But check this out. Now we're throwing probability onto probability. And maybe it's not going to work out, right? But when you have a continuation wedge, you're going to try to get a flat bottom some way, shape, or form. Or a wedge, whatever. I like trying to get as flat as I can. But you can see, look, flat top, ascending. And then you can do another one here. What about the 77% chance, guys? It's just so prevalent. It's not just random. The likelihood that it goes at is 77%. So now we got something else interesting forming, and I just saw it. So I'm going to get rid of all this, and we might have a little bit bigger of a trade.
See, Matt,
Okay.
it's almost 10 o'clock. I don't know if, are you able to sign out of the room?
I am.
Because I signed in. I don't know if you can sign us out or not.
Probably can. Let me see if I have the panel for recording.
I can make you host. Because I got to get going here. That appointment I had tomorrow is actually today now.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm going to see if I can make you.
Let's see. Maybe.
Make host. There, I can make you host.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Look at that.
So I'm going to make you host.
What time do we have the room until, at least?
Well, I don't know. I usually we're done by 10 o'clock, but anyway, I have an appointment I've got to be to at 10:30. So usually we go to about 10 o'clock. It's been 2 hours already. I think most of our trips are done for the day.
Yeah, I don't want to keep on going. I think it's
So why don't we wrap
wise.
this thing up? And it's been a good trading day. We have had some good trades. We had some good movement today. Let's just call it a win for the day, and let's come back tomorrow and see everybody tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
All right, guys.
Again, thanks for coming, and we'll see everybody tomorrow.
Catch you guys again.
Tomorrow.